watched the waves carry my soul off farther than I could see. That's when I reached the end of me. Emptier than the sky, light was in full exposure. One bullet to the bullseye, my heart was taking over. I forget my lows in the afterglow, in the afterglow. Solace is composed in the afterglow. Talking shit, cause I love when you fight back. Knuckle up, boy, I got you under attack. Yeah, I love it when you fight back. I love it when you fight back. Baby boy, I like that. I love it when you fight back. Baby boy, I like that. I love it when you fight back. Baby boy, I like that. I like it when you fight back. I like that. Can I say no when it comes to you? I'm addicted to you. Why do I always find myself right back at you? You make a fool of me. I no longer wanna feel, 'cause I know I don't need you. You're no good for me. I don't wanna feel
stormy weather. There ain't a thing that I would change. They'll say what's with you. Yeah, what's with me? You think by now I would be drinking, but I'm right here busy singing.
back feeling fine.
Can't forget you, but I try to. Don't let me like to put you in a place to hide. I can't forget you, but I'd like to. Whistle in a wind riding by. It goes. Yeah, it goes.
take my hand tonight, my turn to play the fool. So dance with me like there's no tomorrow. Walk with me in the early morning rain. Love cries out, darling, I heard you calling. A gambler asked for another sweet dance tonight. The last dance was long and slow. The tempo left us on empty. The music stopped, we had to go. Troubled hearts were left forsaken. So dance with me like there's no tomorrow. Walk with me in the early morning rain. Love cries out, darling, I heard you calling. A gambler asked for
Those burning eyes, the crooked smile, they pull me in every time I fake a fight, but it's just easier to give in. I'm in too deep to turn back now. Over my head, deep underground. Your love's a darkened alley, and I can't see a way out. But I refuse to turn around. You are the drug I can't pull away from. Shallow escape, I can't let you go, not now. I've gotta stay up in the clouds. I'm bracing for the calm down.
Sitting at the bar, but none of these drinks get you off my mind. I don't believe in sci-fi, but I just wanna go back in time. And I'm looking at my phone at the selfies we took from the very first night. When you walked in the room, still smell your perfume as I held you in so tight. You know that I am here and I will never close that door. I know you've had some time to think it over. Just give me that first kiss twice. Give me that perfect night. Still remember where we were, October 3rd. Give me just one more chance to feel it all over again. I wanna hear everything I heard, October 3rd, tonight. So give me that first kiss twice. Keep wanting to call you, see how you've been, hear all your news. But you're probably out there somewhere, kicking it with someone new. Tell me if you still remember all the things we did together. I guess I still love you more than ever. Know you've had some time to think it over. Just give me that first kiss twice. Give me that perfect night. Still remember where we were, October 3rd. Give me just one more chance to feel it all over again. I wanna hear everything I heard, October 3rd, tonight. So give me that first kiss twice. So give me that first kiss twice. So give me that first kiss twice.
Well, it's 7 a.m. on 285. Just got on, I feel so alive in this pickup truck. I think I might just have a change of luck. Going back to my roots, heading on back home. I got this feeling when I get there I won't be alone. Yeah, it's good for me. I've got some friends I wanna see. You ever wonder where your road ends? It just might be back where it all began. Yeah, that summer I wept when my grandpa died. That first kiss I got on the 4th of July, I remember well. Yeah, we all gave him hell. Backseat loving at the old drive-in. Football games with all my friends. Your life was good to me. I wouldn't trade it for a thing, you see. This could all be where my road ends. And I'm glad it brought me back to my old friends. Back to the days when I was young, skipping rocks off the lake. We were kids having fun Friday nights at the beach. The skinny dipping down at Kinchapooney Creek. I remember that girl who caught my eye. She smiled at me, but I was too shy. But I remember well all the stories that I could tell. What I wouldn't give to be young just once again. I wouldn't change a thing, I'd just take that ride again. Oh yeah, yeah. time. She was a beauty, I remember. She was a hell of a ride one summer night underneath the pale moonlight. But we passed that bottle of muscadine wine. We were foolish and young, having one great time. It was all plain to see. So I asked her if she'd marry me, and I'd do it all the same once again. Cause she brought me back to my old friends. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 yeah. Well, it's 7 a.m. on 285. Just got on, I feel so alive in this pickup truck. I think I might just have a change of love.
Did you think a dozen roses would make it okay? Did you think apologies would make lies go away? Every promise
destruction. We broke all the rules. A pack of hellions tearing up that school. I was born a rebel, that's part of who I am. Being told what I should do is something I can't stand. I was born a rebel, don't know the reason why, but I'm bound to be a rebel till I die. 'Cause I was born a rebel. Honey, here you are telling me what I should do. If I do just the opposite, it don't mean I don't love you. Don't you go out thinking that I don't give a damn. Maybe I can't help it, that's just who I am. I was born a rebel, that's part of who I am. Being told what I should do is something I can't stand. I was born a rebel, I don't know the reason why, but I'm bound to be a rebel till I die. 'Cause I was born a rebel.
I need to quit. The shirt, it doesn't fit. With my heart on the sleeve, taking another hit. A tobacco field. Once it's cut, it'll make you feel. But it ain't half as pretty when it's given up its yield. And in this game, was I a win for you? Was I a temporary solution to your winter blues? It's a shame I wasn't akin to you. It was a short of February, then a tin of grizzly chew. Your brand new boots, such a pretty shade of blue. And once you break them in, I'm sure you'll replace them too. Wisconsin's cold, and after all my jokes grew old, all I held on to was a winning hand to fold. And in this game, was I a win for you? Was I a temporary solution to your winter blues? It's a shame I wasn't akin to you. It was a short of February, then a tin of grizzly chew. The coin is fair, so call it in the air. But either way it falls, you're leaving me to bear. To bear this spring, an unpredictable upswing, ethereal breezes beneath the robin's wing. And in this game, was I a win for you? Was I a temporary solution to your winter blues? It's a shame I wasn't akin to you. It was a short of February, then a tin of grizzly chew. I need to quit.
Driving home in silence, I don't think about the violence. I think about the road in front of me.
I turn up the speakers, slipping off my sneakers. Brake lights, forest the eye can see. My whole life has been fast and slow, yes and no. Stop and go. It feels like 90 degrees in the middle of November. Maybe the world is ending.
Every day and night I wonder, are all of your secrets still safe with me? Or are you lying there talking cause another pillow? Sharing parts of your heart that belong to me. And we had our problems. They say that it's best just to love and let go. And I know this ain't the right time to blow up your phone, but I need to know. What if I love you? What if I was the one to? What if I could change your mind? What if I loved you the way that I'm supposed to? Could three words travel back in time? What if I loved you? What if I loved you, baby? What if I loved you? And nothing could have ever been harder. The way you made it seem so easy to leave. Nothing left in your love tank, watered down like a bad drink. I never thought that you'd be saying that to me. No, and we had our problems, and they say that it's best to love and let go. And I know this ain't the right time to blow up your phone. I'm sorry, baby, but I gotta know. I gotta know. What if I loved you? What if I was the one to? What if I could change your mind? What if I loved you the way that I'm supposed to? Could three words travel back in time? What if I loved you? What if I loved you? What if I loved you the way I'm supposed to? What if I love you? What if I was the one to? What if I could change your mind? What if I loved you the way that I'm supposed to? Could three words travel back in time? What if I loved you?
confession. You pay for what you want and go. Dark of the night, blood of the soul. I make my way in the eyes of the Lord. It's of my own volition. Redemption's gone. Redemption's gone. A rolling stone. I go wherever I may go. This blazing sun. A shadow cast on Jagger Road. I save myself, bless suffered alone, and I found my way, appealing strong. It's of my own volition. Redemption's gone. Redemption's gone. Redemption's gone. Redemption's gone. Of all the tears and all the lies, those like salvation purified, an absolution crucified. Under the dark foreboding skies. Oh, these seeds were sown. This flower grew beneath the dirt. Unhappy home. Unfold a history of birth. Along the way, I've been inside upon this face. My story lies. It's of my own volition. Redemption's gone. Redemption's gone. Redemption's gone. Redemption's
It's 7 a.m. in the morning. I drank too much last night. Need a little Jack in my coffee to get me feeling right. My truck's in my front yard, and I kiss the neighbor's daughter. And I don't even know her name. I'm a honky-tonkin' outlaw from the Rocky Mountain Range. I drink a lot, I smoke too much. Lord, I need to change my ways. When that old clock strikes me honky-tonkin' outlaw from the Rocky Mountain Range. I drink a lot, I smoke too much. Lord, I need to change my ways. When that old clock strikes midnight, you can bet you're about $1. You're all gonna remember my name. The bar closes down, I go out and drive. I roll down the road with a burnt headlight. As I stroll down this old gravel road, someday I'll find my way home. I'm a honky-tonkin' outlaw from the Rocky Mountain Range. I drink a lot, I smoke too much. I'm gonna have to change my name. When that old clock strikes midnight, you can measure by $1. You're all gonna remember my name. Come on!
bring our song a wedding cake. Like Emmy's biscuits and gravy, brunch, brown swagger, and a tap for lunch. When me and Bill got home from that fishing hole. When I look back on all those years, I just break down, cry big tears. 'Cause I know that I'm not all alone in my memory of years. Said I only have a short time to live. As tough as I was, that was hard to fake. Take care of your mama, she's got a lot left to give. Those memories will live on for old time's sake. Like Emmy's biscuits and gravy, brunch, brown swagger, and a tap for lunch. Riding no dirt bikes till Dad got old. Uncle Dave's big 8-point, that bean suit nearly cleared the joint. And I know that I'm not all alone in my memory of years. You can save your memories all to yourself, but to talk about them feels so good. The tree of life keeps growing with everybody's help. And I turn back time only if I could. Like Emmy's biscuits and gravy, brunch, brown swagger, and a tap for lunch. When me and Bill got home from that fishing hole. Frying up those old catfish, upon this star I make my wish. And I know that I'm not all alone in my memory of years. Memory of years. Those memory of
I still remember the first time, the summer after junior high. Soft kisses from my first love, right before she said goodbye. Seems like I've lived the same old story, time and time again. Why can't I forget the past, not wishing for what's been? Here comes that old familiar pain, that empty feeling in my brain. Tears keep falling down like rain. Here it comes, that old familiar pain. It's not like I'm trying to account for every love that's come and gone. Though each one has left a mark, I'm trying to move on. I'll find a way to make a change, then maybe love will hang around. It's the same old question, where is true love found? Here comes that old familiar pain, that empty feeling in my brain. Tears keep falling down like rain. Here it comes, that old familiar pain. Now when it comes to me and you, there's nothing more that I can do. If you don't want to see
message. Hello? Hello, everybody. We did it. Hi. Hold on. We are doing some brand new technology. No, Mike. No, we have plenty of other issues. So today we are actually doing this on Discord and also on Steam. Sorry, not on Steam. On Twitch. We're doing it on Twitch and also on Discord. So we have a brand new Twitch channel. Actually, we've had it for a while, but this is the first time we actually use it for something. So if you guys want to be our, not to advertise here, but if you want to be our first follower, go to twitch.tv/Notorious Studios. We are live in 3, 2, 1. Hold on, start streaming. Stream title, let's call it Meet the Devs #12. Stream category, Legacy. Follower number 1, number 2. Okay, I think we're live. I want to say we're live. Now, I will say if you are watching on Twitch, I am aware of the problem that my voice is Oh, hold on. Maybe this is the problem. I think my voice is coming only through the left ear. So apologize for that. We'll fix it, but yeah, it is what it is. That's the link. That's the actual link. And I'm going to try to share cam as well. Yes, thank God it works. All right, I was worried that I might not be able to share video on Discord and OBS same time. Okay, we have the tech. And there's Chris as well. Chris, give me 1 second here. I need a second. Pretend like nothing's happening. I need to find Chris's webcam and move it.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if people go on Twitch, they'll see exactly what I'm working with, what I'm pausing, why I'm pausing. Okay. All right, Chris is right there. We got him. Let me put you in the frame. Perfect. No technical difficulties. Oh.
Spoke too soon. Is he still on Twitch? I don't have a web phone. Oh, he's on Twitch still. Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, that's a cool frame. Yeah, that's Discord's. They need frames in the Discord where you could put it around the border, like Twitch. I'm sure he'll be back. Oh, there he is. Oh, do I need to add him again? Okay, nice. Invite to speak.
I've been shadow banned. What? Hey. I was getting the...
Okay, you're back.
Can you guys hear me?
So okay. So do you think you can't do both at once, or?
I can. Just give me one more sec. Yeah,
Okay,
this is good. This is good. We're almost there. Sorry, I'm using some very ancient technology to make this work. And I don't know what I did, but I muted myself. Because I know you have a slide to show, so I want to also show that somehow.
Oh, so do you want me to put it up?
I don't know. No. Okay, that part we'll have to edit that part. Okay, so if you're on Twitch, just come over on Discord for now, because I don't know how to share that. I need one more monitor, so we can just start. This works. This is good. All right, you ready? Can I officially start?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little YouTube intro. So hello everybody, welcome to Legacy Meet the Devs episode 12. And joining me today, we have once again Chris Kaleki, our founder, CEO, and lead game designer for Legacy. And as you guys know, we've been in season 0 for about a month and a little bit at this point in early access. And I think Chris today is going to talk about some future plans for season 1 that's coming soon, TM. So
that's right. Yeah. So you can still hear me? Okay, great. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So the next 3 Meet the Devs, like this week and the next 2 weeks, we're going to just talk about the next patch. coming up soon. And so today I'm going to talk about systems, which has to do about, classes, and then also just crafting and all that good stuff. So yeah, we could just jump right into it. Today we also have to kind of move a little bit quickly because we have another meeting right after this. So we're just going to be very efficient with our time. Oh, it looks like Ambona. Okay. Well,
I'm
you
here.
can still just hear me. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the goals for the systems this patch, we really want to, and we talked about this a little bit last Meet the Devs, but we want to add more lodge furnishings. We call them furnishings, like the different modules inside the lodge, to really add more depth to the game and to crafting, and for you to care more about different like key items that you can find in the world that helps build them. It's our vision of just adding really deep, engaging crafting and progression to the game. Also really make crafting blues and epics more of a thing. We just have one map right now on live in the game, but we are adding essentially 2 new maps next patch. And so this is where you'll get a lot of those items like maple wood and things like that will be more common in these other maps, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then just other various updates to the classes to emphasize their strengths and weaknesses. And this Meet the Devs, I'm also going to talk a little bit about philosophy of the classes and how we think about their strengths and weaknesses and what they are, and what the visions of those are. So yeah, let's jump into it. So you'll notice in the lodge has been updated a little bit. Here's like a screenshot of all the different lodge furnishings. So there's a number of new ones. There's like 4, or it's gonna be 5 new ones actually. The forge, the loom, and the tanner. So a lot of crafting, the cloth, the metal bars, leather are being moved away from the vendors and now into the lodge. And so you take the leather scraps and the tattered cloth and these sort of things, and you put them in the lodge, and this is where you create the actual raw materials. And then we also have a transmutation device. This is where you put items in there, and it could turn into other various items depending on which recipes you find in the game. So we're going to be adding a number of different recipes, and probably start small at first, but we'll grow into it over time, where we have you could turn copper into iron, or these sort of things in the game. And the transmutation device will be really important for crafting blues and epics. And then and to get materials for the blues and epics, you must play in more difficult maps. They're not going to be very difficult or a lot more difficult, but they're going to be a little bit of a step up, which is the night version of the map and the dungeon. So here is kind of a picture, kind of it showing kind of like how these will work. So for the transmutation, it's almost like a survival crafting game. Like if you played like Valheim or something like that, there's an input-output grid where you put in some raw ore and it will craft the bars for you automatically, and they each have a little bit of a crafting time. We haven't hammered in exactly what the crafting times will be, and this may like get reduced as you level it up. All these things are just knobs will tune as we go through early access. So we're really looking forward to your feedback on that. And then a transmutation device, there's 3, if you see here, there's 3 little item slots that says right here, but these are 3 different transmutations that you will, like recipes per se, that you can put into there. And then if you have the required materials in the input, it will transmute them on the output. So we can also do some really fun things where it's like a really incredible transmutation, but it takes a little bit of a while, like a couple hours or something like that. So we're going to use this and play a lot with this. And once we do like the guild hall in the far future, it will have some similar gameplay like this, where you and your friends put stuff in input and then craft stuff as an output, which will be really exciting. So here's some shots. I think these are the first ones we've shown for what Greenwood Night looks like. We're kind of hammering in the exact kind of how dark we want the zone to be. This is probably on the darker end of the spectrum, but the zone will have some really dark areas and some like more moonlit areas. And so to create some variety. And it really does feel like a totally different map, to be honest. We were totally respawning it and having different new creatures in some different areas. And we also have right now a craftable lantern that you can make, and the lantern can be turned on and off to illuminate some of the darker areas. We're playing with having some of the little dungeons in the map be some little dungeons in the map be like completely dark, where there's no sconces in there or what is it called? I can't think of the name. Torches inside there. So a lot of experiments. It's stuff that we'll be building out over time. And so the night map is a little bit more difficult than the day map. And this can also kind of really create some gradient of difficulty, where like a newer players, people who are just getting into the game, could play day and then they graduate into night. So yeah. And you could also see here in this left screenshot too, we're playing with adding fog into the game. Obviously the game has a little bit of fog right now, but we're punching it up a bit. And this may also come into the day map as well. Anything else there I'm missing, Andre?
I think you kind of hit it. I mean, it's more than just we don't just turn the light off, like you said. We are spawning. I don't know how much we want to reveal, but it's way more different. It's new creatures, new. Your eyes are pretty much the same, but you get to see them. You get to see what happens in the woods at night. Let's just say.
Yeah, there's some surprises, and there's some little interesting encounters and experiences in the night map. So really excited for people to check that out. So this is one of the Meet the Devs that we're going to have later on in the coming weeks, where we'll deep dive and show and play through the night map a little bit so you can get a better look at it. All right. Now talking about classes. I've talked about this a little bit in the Discord about the philosophy of strengths and weaknesses on the classes. And it's really important in the class designs or class gameplay side of things, where there's really distinct strengths and then there's really distinct weaknesses for each class. And it's over time, most games, if they have a classes or heroes, these sort of things, players complain about they're too strong or they're too weak. And over time, it looks like the right graph here. I just kind of drew these because I was trying to like build some graph for this. I was like, forget it, I'll just draw it on here. But most games over time, they look like the right, where like everything just feels homogenized and everything kind of feels the same. And this is just because as you're playing the game, it gets really annoying if like a class is really strong at something. It just doesn't feel right. But we're really trying to embrace like distinct strengths and weaknesses with the classes, and just to make them feel different, really distinct. However, I would say that there's sometimes we go too far, or it's complicated. It's an art, really, because if a class is really too strong at one of their strengths or too weak at one of them, that is something we have to kind of address. And so I'll talk a little bit about each class's strengths and weaknesses and like where we feel they're at and what we're doing, some updates. So let's talk about the warrior first. So the warrior, is one of his main strengths is being versatile. He's able to switch between he's the one class who could switch between two weapons mid-combat, and each of these weapons should have their own strengths and weaknesses and their own gameplay intents. I would say right now the weapons don't feel that distinct enough. So something we're going to be doing in this patch and over time or through early access is making the two-handed axe feel very different than the death ball, and the death ball feel very different than the mace and shield, etc. And so we have a bunch of ideas, not ready to share with that just yet, but how to make those feel a bit more distinct. The second thing is the warrior is a little bit hard to control. He has a lot of blue attacks, red attacks, unstoppable, unbreakable, which means that he can't be staggered while he's blue, and he can block break you when he's red. So he's a little bit less susceptible to crowd control or snares and stuns and stuff like some of the other classes. This is why he's has an edge against rogues, is for partially that reason. And the other strength that the warrior has is initiation. He's able to choose a target, pull them out of a group, with the chain pull, he's able to charge into them. And charge is also almost like, in some sense, it's like another stamina bar, because he can use that for mobility too. We know that's like his thing, and it's can maybe be a little bit too good. But those are his strengths. And when we think about his weaknesses, he has limited range damage. I know you can kind of spam spears and these things like that, but generally he doesn't really have a lot of ranged damage, and that kind of makes him sort of weak against, say, maybe a hunter. He gets kited a little bit, and yeah, he's weak about being kited, and when he is controlled by maybe roots or something like that, that could be one of his weaknesses too. It's kind of this funny thing where it's like his strength is he's against control, but it's his weakness as well. And then his third weakness is he's kind of loud. The war horn is really strong, but it makes a loud noise, and you can kind of know there's a warrior nearby. And so sound is a dynamic in the game that's really important that we'll only be using. We will only be integrating more over time. So some things we're adding. So this is a little preview of stuff we're adding in the past for the classes. It's not conclusive. It's not like the only things they're getting. And it can change. Don't hold me 100% to it. We're still tuning some numbers and stuff like that. But two new abilities that we're adding to the warrior. He's probably the class who doesn't have as many abilities as the other classes. One is an alternate for the iron grip. So the iron grip is like the chain pull. So this other ability is he's able to throw a tether, and then when he throws a tether, it lands on the ground and it AoE tethers enemies there. And for each enemy who gets tethered, you also generate rage. So it's a really good, like, if you want to, someone's running by and you want to tether them as they're running, or tether two players together who are stacked on each other. That could be really strong and create different plays there. The second one is Warpath. So Warpath is an alternate to charge. So charge, obviously, you charge in a distance and you charge at a target and you'll hit them and they'll get like a hit react and that sort of thing. Warpath actually lets you choose your direction as you're basically moving, right? It's almost like a sprint in some ways. And as you're unstoppable and as you're sprinting, you're also unstoppable, so you're kind of immune to hit reacts and that sort of thing. So if, like, for example, someone's kiting you behind a tree or something like that, you can kind of warpath them and, chase them around the tree rather than having to go in a straight line with charge. And then whenever you use your weapon attack while you're in a warpath, it will cancel the effect and you'll do more damage. But as I mentioned, some other things that we're working on the warrior is making all of his weapons a little bit more distinct, and a bunch of a number of things that we'll announce later. Priest. So the priest, her strength and weaknesses. One of her strengths is she's the only class in the game right now who can heal. And so she's really good for, like, if you're going to do duos or trios, especially if you're going to use like the staff or the scepter. But in general, she's has really good support tools with the cards and that stuff and that sort of thing. She's also pretty accessible. We want her to be accessible to play as well. So some of her attacks have homing, or they have you don't have to aim as much as some of the other classes. Also, like divine, or what's it called? Heaven's Fury, etc. If you just tap it, it will just kind of sticky target onto somebody. So it's accessible. We want it to be accessible to pick up. Obviously, easy to learn, difficult to master. To be optimal with her is actually pretty technical and complicated, which we do want to address a bit. We like that it's to master her takes some skill and stuff like that. We want it to be that way, but maybe it just gets a little too complicated, especially with the sparks and stuff like that. And then some of her weaknesses is just that, she's squishy, if pinned down. As the healer, you're kind of like the PvP tank, so it's something we think about a lot. Of like if she's being trained on and that sort of thing, how does she protect herself? That sort of thing. She has block, she has ascend, and that's kind of one of those that's intended to help with that. And then she only really has one spell school, which is holy, right? And so this isn't so much of a problem in the game or an issue in the game right now, but over time it will become more of a thing. And so that is one of her weaknesses. So some updates that we're going to do for her is we haven't really loved a lot of the Heaven's Fury bucket abilities and wanted to try something very different and very interesting. This will also be really good for the dungeon, especially, which is when she activates Heaven's Ward, she basically turns immune. She can't attack or deal damage, but she gets a sprint while she's immune. And then after it ends, Heaven's Fury happens right at her location. So basically, if you're like being targeted by multiple classes or players or something like that, you can just go into Heaven's Ward and then move around, relocate, or split onto a different target, that sort of thing. So we think this will create a lot of different gameplay experiences. So yeah, as someone mentioned too, I think it will be really good with Sword and Buckler, especially because it can kind of be used as an initiation tool as well a little bit. And then we're adding a new prayer card that will allow her to cure some wound. So again, trying to figure out exactly like what the numbers will be, but that is another new thing we're adding. And there's some other like little more technical things we're doing gosh, what is it? What am I thinking? Just like
Perks?
how different stuff with traits. We're also doing a lot of bug fixes with her item perks as well, and maybe adding some new ones. So that's some other things to look forward to. Rogue. The Rogue is obviously some of his strengths are some of the best in the game right now, because obviously it's a open world PvP kind of game, and so stealth is really, really great. He can kind of choose his own fights, which makes him really strong. Control, he has sheep shot and as a stun and on the dagger, and snares, and fast attack speeds, these sort of things. So it's also going to be accessible to play just because it's very fast. So if you like fast weapon speeds, that sort of thing, he's really fun. And then he has escapes, so he's really good at like getting into a combat fight, and he can choose his own fight and escape. So that's what makes him really strong. Some of his weaknesses is that he's squishy if caught. This is why he's a little weaker against the warrior. And then his damage is supposed to require setup. So adrenaline, the vision of adrenaline is supposed to be while you're out of combat, the bar fills up, and then that's like your damage bar. And then once you get into combat, it depletes, and so then you have to like try to reset or try to figure something out. And so he has a burst window, but it's small, and he has to like reset. So some of this, I think, so these are the vision. That's kind of the goals with it. I would say the Rogue's is going to be one of the more trickier classes to balance, just because his strengths are so good. But anyway, that's kind of the strength and weaknesses there. And in terms of new things for the Rogue, there are some new things, but there's not a lot. The Rogue's actually one of our classes we feel pretty happy with. There's not a lot of new things we're adding. Some stuff I did want to mention that we are working on is some improvements to the afflictions with poison and hemorrhage. We want to create more gameplay and more builds that center around those afflictions and make those more interesting. So that is something that we are thinking about doing with Rogues. Other things we're talking about doing with it's mostly kit related, or to make them feel more roguey, is that they could be able to loot chests faster, so they could search them a little bit faster. So this is something that we're working on. But anyway, we're mostly pretty happy with Rogues. I know the community really likes the Rogue too. So the Hunter, her strengths are supposed to be area denial. So she creates a lot of traps, a lot of bombs, these sort of things in the world to make it so that it's hard to traverse certain areas. Something you could do with like the sticky seed bombs, the flying ones, is put them, especially in a dungeon. This is pretty good, as you put them at alcoves and put them at doorways. and if a player goes through there, it explodes. So it's like all this like area denial, controlling the battlefield type things. She also has the furthest range in the game. This will even be true even when we add with the wizard. So she has the most like sniper potential, especially with like the longbow. And then something that we're going to build out more over time, which she doesn't really have right now. She has a little bit, but she'll have the most availability of afflictions. So all her different arrows could potentially apply affliction for whether it's frost one with the frost affliction, fire, or that sort of thing. And so this will become more of a gameplay, more of a thing over time as the other classes get more afflictions, especially with the wizard. So that is also intended to be one of her strengths. Some of her weaknesses is that she's vulnerable in melee, so she doesn't really have block, right, or really melee attacks in general. Really, her design is supposed to be when she is engaged in melee, she disengages backwards, she tries to reset, she tries to get at range. And we played a lot with different prototypes of like, well, maybe we make the hunter melee too, but it is cool that she has a very different play style and she just wants to do different things in that situation. So that is intended to be one of her weaknesses. You could say maybe that weakness is a little too much, especially early level when you're learning the game and the rogue comes on you with swords, that kind of thing. So that is something we're mindful of. And she also requires setup and planning. Like the trap takes some time to arm. You have to set up the flying seeds, right, etc. So that is important. Like if she just gets ganked or she just runs up to a player like in the open, she's not going to be optimal. You really want to set up against players or hunt them down and they don't know you're there, right? And then the last one is like she requires shooting skill to aim a bit. The swift bow has some homing on it, but generally all the bows you have to like aim and shoot. It's almost like a FPS experience. So that is kind of one of her weaknesses for some players. It's just that takes some skill to kind of play her in that regard. So some things we're adding to this patch for the hunter is we are redesigning the longbow queue. And so the new longbow queue is called Thunder Arrow, and so it's like an instant shot that hits the ground, or just can shoot a target point blank, and it does like an AOE damage. It actually does, I think, lightning damage. It's just not in this tooltip. So that also could synergize with the wizard too, because he also does lightning damage. But yeah, so we're really excited about this new skill for the longbow. I do actually have a soft spot for the current queue. It is a cool fantasy. It's just not really working out with the game in the meta right now, and that's okay. We could put it in the Disney Vault, come back later at some point maybe. But so anyway, that's the queue on a longbow. And then also just wanted to share like this new trait that the hunter has called Windrunner, where after she dodges and she sprints faster, and then she becomes she gains armor. So this is like how she could deal with melee on her. So after rogues on you or something like that, you evade and you could sprint and get a little more of a sprint. I wouldn't pay too much attention on the values, on the numbers just yet. It's something we'll tune. But anyway, this is kind of a trait that we're adding as a tool to help her when she has melee on her. And then finally, just could talk about the wizard. I'm not going to showcase the wizard today. That will be a future Meet the Devs. Maybe Andre could do that. But his strengths and weaknesses will be on-demand burst damage. So unlike some of the other classes where they have to, the rogue has adrenaline that builds up and he can't really control it. He just has to be out of combat. The warrior has to, he doesn't really have like a damage timer per se with enrage. But the wizard will build up a resource, and then you could push a button to just get a damage boost. And so how he kind of plays is he sort of zips around the battlefield, and when he's ready, he just buffs up. He just pushes his cooldown, and then does more damage. And so this is also why he also has really one of the best evades in the game. I think I mentioned the last Meet the Devs, when he evades twice in a row, he goes invisible for a really short duration. So he becomes like really hard to pin down, zipping around, and then he buffs and can do a bunch of damage to you. within reason, of course. And then he can also manipulate the battlefield in some ways. I won't get into this one that much, but basically, yeah, we'll save that one till later. And then, but he'll have really low health. Probably the lowest health in the game. So he's pretty squishy. And then he's also energy dependent. So every class, most of them, I think, maybe other than a warrior, have energy. It's the blue bar. Some of us call it mana. And so his energy is higher than the other classes, but then regenerates a lot slower. And so he's kind of dependent to spend energy in a combat session. Like it's like a 2v2 out in Greenwood or something. So he could deplete his energy, his mana, or his energy, and then have to figure something out. We're also going to be adding an energy potion as well. So that could be something of how he deals with it, or some of his other skills. You'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that is his strength and weaknesses, and so anyway, this is kind of the vision of all the different classes' strength and weaknesses, and yeah, looking forward to everyone's feedback and thoughts on that. So next, what time is it, Andre? Next, yes. So get your guys' questions ready. We have around 20 minutes to do Q&A. I wanted to kick it off with some that Sung submitted to me that you guys had. Yeah. So first one from DK Dave. Hunter issues limit on seed bombs and the Sentinel's call. So yeah, we have put a limit on the seed bombs now. I think it's something like 3 that can only be out at once. So that will be in this patch. The Sentinel call. So we like the vision of the Sentinel's call, which is you summon a little pet and your eagle or your bird, and it kind of can tank a little bit for you and these sort of things. The AI on it needs a little bit of polish, and so we are working on that as well. Avicii had the question about the rogue's third weapon. Yeah, so the rogue's third weapon, it's something we are working on. It won't be in this patch. It will be in a later patch. I don't know which one, but probably the next one, I would assume. Next content patch. We have some of the art done for it and stuff like that. It's looking really cool. I thought about putting it in here to show everybody, but it's just too soon. We'll do that in the future. Buff timers. They're gonna be buff timers. We do have this planned to have like little icons. Most RPG games have this like in a nameplate of showing you the buffs on different classes or on yourself, whether it's like movement speed or production or armor or things like that. It is something we're talking about doing. It's probably going to be like anyway, it is planned in the future. It won't be in this patch, but it will be at some point in time. That was from Christ, yeah. And then also Kawas Kuras asked about the Death Ball reworks the Q. Yeah, that is something we're going to look at. We know that, if anything, I know there's a lot of fans of the Death Ball. Death Ball is very popular, but there's maybe the Q could be a little bit better, a little bit more reliable. There's some improvements we want to do with that. We didn't get the chance when we launched that weapon. There's some other polished stuff there, so that is something we do want to do. I'm not quite sure when that will come in, but that is on the roadmap for sure. Cat Videos asked about a mode for duels. Actually, that is going to be in this patch. We have a new map. So I guess it's the third map. It is it's basically Goldbrook, and Goldbrook is now going to be, you can queue into it with your gear, and there are test dummies in there, and then you could duel, you could VoIP. We don't know how many players will be in it yet. We're thinking maybe 15 or something like that. And you can just like fight each other anywhere in the map. And then I think at the church chapel area is a sanctuary. So if you go there, no one can attack you. You're like God mode or whatever there. So that is something we're also adding in the patch. So we'll see how that goes. We're open to everyone's feedback on that. It's kind of an unusual feature to add to a game like this, but I know that players love dueling and the combat system has a lot of intricacies, and so it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then catch-up mechanism for players who join mid-season. This is I'm really impressed someone asked this question because it is something I think about a lot. That I think a lot of I haven't really seen that many players talk about it, but it is a challenge in a seasonal game like ours. Usually, when a new season hits, there's a lot of people who come back and they try new things and they get into the game and they may play it for several weeks or a month or two, and then someone comes in the middle of the season and everybody's just like geared out. Everybody is just crazy, and it's kind of a challenge, or challenge to even catch up. So something we've been talking about doing is, as you guys know, there is that campaign quest. The campaign culminates for a quest to kill Morthok. What we're going to do is add more quests to that campaign, and one unlocks each week. It resets each week and a new quest unlocks. And so as you do the campaign, and it unlocks for everybody at the same time. And so 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, something like, we'll have to figure out the right number, but we may just start catching people up to different things. Like maybe we just week 5 or something, we give you the one of the key items that you need for the storage chest level 3 or something like that, or level 2 even. So it's something we're thinking about of ways like catching up players with a campaign. So if you come in, you just do the campaign quests, and then you'll catch up to a little bit. It's tricky because you want to have some catch up, but then you also don't want to make people feel like, why did I even do that when I just get for free at that week or something. So, but anyway, the North Star of trying to add some ways to catch up the player, I think makes a lot of sense. And so something that we are talking about and have some plans in. I think even that will be in this patch. So yeah, that was a really good question from Krizak.
All right, I think that's the end of the presentation you had, right? So we can start taking some questions from chat. So yeah, we don't have a lot of time because we have a meeting starting at 5. So we're gonna have to speed run. Quick questions, quick answers. Okay. I'm gonna invite a random. Mr. CT Kidney. How's it going?
Hey, what's up? So my question is, earlier in the presentation you talked about removing some crafting stuff from the vendors. With the removal of like the processing, like smelting the ore and refining the wood from the vendors, is there a plan to help compensate for the loss of access to easy reputation gains?
Yeah, I just looked at another designer. He just stood up and say yes. Yeah, so we are doing that. Yeah, we're going to be basically modifying a lot of the how long it takes to level up the different vendors to make it a bit shorter, for sure. And first of all, to take into account that, and then probably also even making it a little bit shorter or faster to level after that. Now that we have other progression things in the game.
Amazing. Also, release date when? I need to know when to take off work.
Yeah, we'll probably announce that soon. After that, talk to Sung if we're going to announce what the date is. But yeah, we'll post it in a Discord for sure and send a newsletter out soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Soon. Thank you for the question. All right, I'm going to invite Austin next. Here's the cat. We're asking for about the cat.
Hello?
Hello, Austin.
That's the cat.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just had a quick question. Basically, in regards to the last Meet the Devs, I know you had mentioned bringing Legacy to like consoles and stuff, right? My question is basically, how different is it going to be for console as far as like aim assist, particularly with Hunter and stuff? Because for a past game experience with like Spellbreak, whenever they introduced it to console and stuff, the Lightning Gauntlets got extremely OP and basically like turned a lot of the player base off just because of how strong it was and how like you pretty much just had to run that. So like can you shed a little more light on what that's going to be like when console's integrated?
Yeah, that's a good question. We haven't really, hammered out exact specifics yet, but I have had some thoughts about that. I'd hate to create too much. There's like an artistry to creating console ports to a game, like whether it's Overwatch or Valorant or something like that. To think about like how do you make the UX flow work well, or the the targeting on a controller versus mouse and keyboard, because generally mouse and keyboard will always trump controller generally. So we probably would have some sort of soft targeting or something like that on console. It's hard to say right now. However, specifically some of the weapons that we added kind of like could work better on controller. For example, like the swift bow and the hunter would probably work better on the controller than some of the other weapons, because it has like the lock on the press and hold for the wild arrow, and these sort of things. So it's a good question. We don't have really the specifics yet, but I wouldn't want to just make it so that, console just trumps, mouse keyboard or anything like that. So yeah. Anyway, is a good question though.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for the question. I'm gonna invite Mr. Purple Name.
Hey guys, I just wanted to ask real quick. According to a lot of the Steam reviews that you guys have, where we saw a lot of the drop off early on, there was some concerns about bugs. However, there's a lot of people that get the wrong impression about the game kind of early on, and when they get stuck with lobbies that have geared out people, they get really disenfranchised with the game pretty quickly. It's even reflected in the Discord. And I was just wondering, from a design standpoint, is the philosophy to kind of hold the hand at the beginning and then let them go into a free for all, or are you trying to hold hand all the way through 20, hoping to keep players retained through that process until they get kind of a feel for the entire skill system they're going to earn?
Yeah, the new player experience is a really important focus for us right now. So something that we added actually in a live game is there's a newbie queue. If you solo queue, you get put into a different queue if we think you're a new player, and there's some data and criteria we have, for choosing that. So that'll become more sophisticated and something that we will do over time. The other thing to think about too is we're adding some more difficult maps to the game, like high end game ones, or just they're a step up of Greenwood Day. And so the idea for the new player too is that in theory, a lot of players who are more progressed or more skilled or something like that will be in either the dungeon or the night map, and so the day map will become more less sweaty, let's say. And so there's that. Over time, we may add, as the game grows, as we get closer to Gold Master, and in theory, having a lot more players at that point, we could add more skill-based matchmakings or something like that is also an option. It doesn't make as much sense just right now as we're just building out early access, because we'll split queues too much. But also improving Goldbrook to help players onboard and learn the mechanics of the game better. There's not like one solution. It's like all these little smaller things, and it's something that we're going to be iterating and improving over time. I also think like the Goldbrook social space could be useful for players to like duel and talk to the community, duel each other, play and test enemies, etc. So it's all these like little things that I think over time will really help improve that. But it is a game. It's not a game for everybody. It is a hardcore game right now. It'll become a bit more accessible over time as we do some of these things. But anyway, it is a focus. It is something that we're trying to improve, especially for this May patch.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Also, like Chris said earlier, just improving the rate at which you get gear as the season progresses. Just that should also help with new players joining the game a bit late.
Yep.
I invited Mr. Miwi. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, so
Hello.
I just like one question regarding like friendly and unfriendly spells. So like traps and like, do you have any plans or have any indication of like, is this an enemy trap or is it like an enemy spark or friendly stuff like this?
Yeah, this is a pain point for us too. We've talked about that, and so I don't know when we will do it, but we will make like hostile friendly versions of some of the spells, like traps or sparks or these sort of things. So oh, that's a hostile version of it, or that's a friendly version. So great question. I totally agree with that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. All right, I'm going to invite Mr. Daddy Ains.
Howdy, guys. I appreciate the question. So my
How's it
question
going?
is, Dev 10, you guys talked a little bit about reworking the priest's mirror. It's kind of commonly known as kind of a joke ability. So kind of seeing that you guys are shifting more to like a ward stance. Are you guys trying to maybe shift the priest out of being like a caster and more to like a healer close range? Or do you guys have like different ideas or plans?
Yeah. Yeah, the mirror, I like the idea of the mirror. I think so. What we're going to be doing is basically essentially merging the floating mirror and the stationary one in two abilities. So if you tap it, the mirror will just kind of move in front of you and kind of block things in front of you. And then if you press and hold it, it will be stationary and you can kind of use it as it is today. So it's kind of like we'll have two like uses and built in one. The other thing we're thinking about doing is like when you tap it, there's this trait I think where if a target walks through the mirror, they get knocked back or something. So we may make it so that the mirror, when you tap it, also knocks targets back. So anyway, we're gonna play with the mirror. I do agree it's kind of like probably the one ability that the priest doesn't really use as much. Another thing we may do too is just make it faster to cast, the animation of it. The mirror will have a lot more uses, I feel like, and be more impactful in the dungeon too. So there are some abilities in the classes that are better in the dungeon than they are like in Greenwood in the open world. So, but I hear you on the mirror though, and I didn't put it in this deck, but there is some updates in the mirror.
Have you guys thought about any possible changes to making it like attached to the priest so that maybe she can be a little more versatile to like aim the shield where she needs it?
Yeah, there is a trait that does that where the mirror rotates with you, I think, based on like you're facing. But I think that could be an interesting alternate so basically the change I'm talking about now is like the only mirror ability, and then we could add like another replacement. We have another idea too that we haven't built it yet, but where you can summon two mirrors and then transport from one to the other. It's like a kind of a different take on the mirror, and there's all these other ideas that we want to try doing with the mirror over time. But anyway, I hear you about it right now.
I appreciate it, my friends. Love the game.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, I think we have time for one more. Also, yeah, Chris is right. The mirror in the crypts is way better, and the mirror against the wizard also very good. So let's get one last person. Sorry, we can't get to everyone. We have 17 questions. I'm gonna invite Satorix, TTV.
But yeah, as I did in the Meet the Devs Day, I try to rapid fire the answers to at the end. So if I don't get yours today, we'll get it next Meet the Devs. We'll do more of them.
Hey guys, how are you? You mentioned at the beginning of the dev talk that you were going to talk a little bit more on where you see each one of the classes fitting currently in their respective areas, right? With those things that you drew. And you mentioned a little bit about how the rogue is really strong with his positives, but you didn't really mention too much else about the other classes and where you feel they are striving or falling short. Can you quickly give us like a rundown of how you feel about all of the classes where you think that they're really excelling and where they're falling short right now?
Yeah. Let me bring it up again for myself just to look at it. Oops, wrong one. As I bring it up, maybe Andre, you can comment your own thoughts.
Sure. I mean, the thing is, Rogue's strengths are probably the most important strengths to have in the game. So that kind of makes Rogue really, really good. He has good mobility. He has high attacks to keep people staggered a lot. The Warrior, I would say the Warrior excels in just raw damage. His attacks are a little bit slower, and it's not as easy to get them. Well, I guess it's not super hard. Warrior excels, I'd say, in just AoE damage, especially in group fights. If you play Axe, Warrior's a little different because depending on which weapon you play, the goal is to give him different strengths and different weaknesses based on the weapon as well. So the Axe will be the highest damage in like a cleave fight. The Mace and Shield would be obviously the more defensive one. And then the Wrecking Ball, the idea was to make it the best kind of 1v1, where it's like it makes you, like Chris said, gives you a lot of unstoppable and a lot of unbreakable windows. And then what's next? Hunter is just best at range. I don't think that's arguable, but Hunter does struggle a bit when people get up and close, especially rogues. And then the priest, I'd say on paper has probably the most versatility. Could probably do like the most. I don't know if she's necessarily the best at anything other than just being a jack of all trades and being the only class that can heal. But especially now, the season being so late, everyone running with 1,000 potions in their bags. Maybe her being the best healer is not as important as it would be like in the start of the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. With the rogue in particular, I think that when I showed that kind of graph and show like the big strength peaks and then kind of the low weaknesses or whatever, I think his like strengths are pretty good, but his weaknesses I feel are a little dull. One of the things I feel like we should emphasize more is adrenaline and making him care about that bar and making him care about like, oh, I have a limited window where I'm really strong. Because there's a lot of like little stuff that we did where it's like this generates adrenaline, this just like refunds adrenaline, this doesn't like cost adrenaline, etc. And those are really cool hooks and really cool perks. But then they just also kind of got papered over his weakness, you know? And so I would say with adrenaline, we could do a little bit better at making that more impactful. When it comes to the priest, I feel like I think she feels really good at the end game or when players are geared, when they figure out how to play the classes. In the beginning of the game, when you're kind of learning her, she's kind of hard to learn how to play against, especially melee. So that I feel like her weakness there is too strong in the early game, but then kind of okay at the end game. But the other parts of her I think are totally fine, like her other strengths, especially like Heaven's Fury is like one of the best spells in the game. It's like an AoE stun on relatively kind of short cooldown. And then the warrior, I think his strengths are pretty good. I feel like again, his versatility could be better. Like he could be the weapons could have more of a identity. They could have more of a really strong strength that you really want to switch them out while you're playing. But his defense against control is good. His initiation is good, and we'll be playing with his initiation as well and some of these other attributes that he has through new abilities, like those two new ones I showed you, Iron Tether and Warpath. So, yeah, I don't know. In general, I kind of feel like they're okay. It just, I would say Rogue, the weaknesses need to be a little bit more distinct. The Warrior, his strengths need to be a little bit more distinct from versatility. And then the Priest is one class that, like Andre said, she has a lot of things. And it's hard to know exactly like what her kind of distinctive strengths and weaknesses are. I think in general, hers is probably the one that has the most opportunity to kind of really emphasize. I don't know. That's just kind of my very quick thoughts.
Yeah, that was more or less what I was looking for. Is like I've seen the list of the things that you say are their strengths and weaknesses. I wanted to know from your guys' opinion how close you are to hitting the marks on those. So yeah, you answered them really well. I appreciate that. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. I love this topic, and we could always come back to it every now and then, maybe every season, and just kind of check in to see how we're doing. Awesome.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for the question. Like I said, Chris does have a meeting he has to go to, so we don't have time for more questions. Sorry about that, but hey, we'll do this again either next week or 2 weeks from now, and maybe we'll share more about the wizard. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe yes.
Yeah. So some future Meet the Devs that we're going to do is talking about the hunter, or sorry, the Greenwood Night map and showing that off, and then also showing off the dungeon, and then also the wizards. So those are 3 to look forward to in the coming weeks. And yeah, really excited about those. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you are not watching this on Discord, if you're watching it on YouTube, join us every week, almost every other 2 weeks on Discord for a live session. Also on Twitch. We're also going to start streaming it on YouTube as well. But yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. And we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.